Many of you know that I went fully raw because I had hyperglycemia, which is the onset of type 2.
If you eat like this often, yes, even as a raw foodist, you can develop diabetes. Okay, Frugivore, here we are on my Instagram page at Freelee the Banana Girl. I also have the other page at the Frugivore Diet. I have a few pages, but these are the 2 pages I recommend you follow if you want to learn more about the Frugivore lifestyle. So I did just post a video in the last 12 hours or so, and it had 53,000 views. So that one is moving along quite well, reaching a lot of people. Please stop starving yourself, intermittent fasting, taking weight loss drugs, over-exercising. Just go fruit-based vegan. I've been fruit-based for the past 14 years. I'm 41 years old and I've lost over 40 pounds eating unlimited calories. Check out more at thebananagirl.com. And I'm actually fully blocked, from Fully Raw Christina on this profile and also Abbey Sharp. But your girl has her other page, doesn't she? So I can look at their pages through this profile. And Abbey Sharp's videos actually get suggested even if you're not following, which is just shocking, right? She's putting out so much misinformation. But anyway, as you're going to soon find out, I actually agree with Abbey Sharp for once. Can you believe it? So let's go to her channel, page, and she's made this video on Fully Raw Christina. And let's watch it, okay? Let's just get straight into it. It had 119,000 views, which is quite a lot, right? So all right, so we've got Christina here making this pasta dish. So this pasta dish is made with kelp noodles, which are basically 0 carbs, 0 calories in general, and a whole lot of fat. And we're going to get into talking about that. So she says here, Abbey says here, when raw vegan influencers post their lunch bowl for one. All right. Okay. And she says, and all you can think about is how much trouble that would cause your gut. Abbey Sharp she's a different one. She's a bit of a character, right? Got a unique sense of humor. So I agree though. I agree with Abbey Sharp. I didn't think I would ever be agreeing like this, but I'm glad that we can find some common ground. But unfortunately, it has to be against another raw foodist. Well, Christina does eat cooked food, but she markets herself as a raw foodist. But it's such a shame that she is posting this gut busting recipe. That's what it is. And we're going to talk all about why it is in a moment, why it is bad for your health, even as a raw food dish. Yes, you can eat a very poor raw food diet, one that actually makes you susceptible to diabetes and to a whole host of health issues, which we're going to talk about. But I also find it hypocritical that Abbey Sharp would call this, a gut problem recipe, but she wouldn't actually focus on the fact that she is eating meat, dairy. Her, meat, dairy, grain-based diet is actually incredibly bad for her gut, and mainly, obviously, the meat and the dairy for her gut. And she's also seeing a dietitian. So the dietitian, she's not a dietitian, she's an influencer, but she calls herself, it's good for marketing, but the dietitian is actually seeing a dietitian to help her heal her gut issues. It's like you should be able to work that out, right? If you go to college to learn how to look after other individuals' health, then you should be able to look after your own, right? So that's really strange to begin with. But anyway, so let's go and look at the actual original video, or one of the original videos from Christina where she does this kelp recipe. Okay, so Abbey, I do agree, but I think it's hypocritical, the fact that you are still eating meat and dairy, and you obviously need to stop eating animals and their secretions for a start. All right, so we go to Christina's page. Yes, Christina, I can still see a page. I rarely ever go here unless one of you actually put me onto something, which you did with this whole Abbey video. And I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. We need to talk about this. So this is the video from Christina. Okay, so she's got these kelp noodles. These kelp noodles have 0 calories in them. It's basically like eating solid air. You know what I mean? It's giving you no nutrition.
How do these things that look like this, right? These are kelp noodles. And we're looking at we're in the basically on the bay of San Francisco Bay, and we're looking at brown kelp right here. So this is the kelp right here that I just pulled up. How does this stuff get to look like this stuff? Come on. These are not 100% kelp. I mean, this is 100% kelp. If you want to make noodles out of this and eat this stuff, that's great. But if you're eating this stuff, and you think you're getting kelp noodles, you got another thing coming to you. Maybe I got a Golden Gate Bridge to sell you too.
And the problem here is, she's saying, hey, it's a good substitute. These vegan recipes are so simple and satisfying. That is not true. Okay, it is not satisfying to eat something that is low carb. This is a low carb dish. That's what it is. So I actually worked out the amount of fat that is in this dish, and it's around 80 to 100 grams of fat. And that's 75% of calories from fat is coming from this dish. And that is just incredibly bad for the human frugivore who needs a high carbohydrate intake, glucose, fructose. You're just not getting it through this dish. And it's also putting you at risk of diabetes, of developing diabetes. If you eat like this often, yes, even as a raw foodist, you can develop diabetes. And that might just shock some of you, but if you're going to line your bloodstream with large amounts of fat, and then you're also going to be having, some fruit here and there and some sugar, because naturally, human frugivore will get sugar some way, whether it's refined or whether it's in fruit, then you're going to have bloodstream fat metabolism issues. Okay, the sugar is not going to be able to get into the cell. That is the destination. That's where you want the sugar to get to. But if the bloodstream is insulated with fat, the sugar cannot get over into the cell. The fat coats insulin receptor sites. It becomes a big old sludgy mess, basically. So yes, you can have pre-diabetes. And I would like to see Kristina's HbA1c test, her, average blood glucose over the past 2-3 months. Because the crazy thing is that Kristina actually came to this lifestyle because she was hypoglycemic. She had pre-diabetes by her own admission.
Hey you guys, it's Kristina, and today we are going to be talking about how to reverse diabetes eating fully raw. I have a special guest here to address this important topic that is very close to my heart. Over 115 million people in the US have diabetes or pre-diabetes. In 2012, the total cost of diagnosed diabetes was $245 billion in the US alone. Many of you know that I went fully raw because I had hyperglycemia, which is the onset of type 2, and I was able to completely reverse it by going fully raw.
The reason I can do this is because my diet is low fat, and the carbs I eat are from whole foods that contain lots of fiber and water.
So you're saying that fat is the problem and perhaps that low fat is the solution. That's beautiful. I'm always making videos about how important a low-fat diet is and how showing low-fat recipes can be delicious and beneficial, but maybe you can explain a little bit more about why low-fat is important for diabetics in particular.
Exactly. Too much fat in the diet leads to insulin resistance. That is the problem for diabetes. So fat inside the cells prevents insulin from doing its job.
Okay, so this HbA1c test is a blood test that reflects your average blood glucose level over the past 3 months. So this is an important indicator of long-term glycemic control. And so as you can see, I'm at 5.2 with 34 mmol millimoles. So no diabetes, no pre-diabetes. So I highly recommend anyone with pre-diabetes, diabetic, to not eat this way that she is recommending, and that Kristina gets a HbA1c test to see how her blood glucose levels are going, because this is obviously not going to help. Some of you might be like, whoa, that's like too extreme. It's still, at least it doesn't have dairy. All right, that is great. I think that's fantastic. You know how I feel. I'm all about cruelty-free options. But at the same time, you need to stay on track. These dishes will not keep anyone on track because they make you unhealthy and unsatisfied. Then you just go back to eating that dairy-filled pasta because you're like, hang on, this doesn't satisfy me like that pasta did, that cooked pasta. And you know why? Because that cooked pasta was full of carbohydrates. See, this has 75% of calories from fat, where the average pasta is going to have maybe 60-70% of calories from carbohydrates. It's going to have a large carbohydrate component because it's made from grains. It's made from low-fat, high-carb grains. And this is made from Kelp Noodles, which can never replace pasta. Like grains, like low-fat, high-carb grain, it can never do that. And so I know I'm playing this one a lot, but I can't really do anything else at this point. I want to make these points, all right? This is very important, especially because Kristina actually, I believe in her previous blood test, had iron ferritin issues. So her iron ferritin was actually low.
They're really pretty good. Your iron store is at 7, above 5 is normal. That's on the lower end of normal.
And these nuts, if you have too much nuts and seeds, it can actually block absorption of important nutrients. So you don't want to be having a whole lot of anti-nutrients, essentially. You know, there's things like phytates, which interfere with the nutrient absorption of like iron, with your mineral absorption, because the phytates bind to minerals like iron and zinc and just basically take it out of the body. So you're not getting that iron. And this could be part of the reason that Kristina has low iron. And also the fact that she's having iron inhibitors, like iron blockers, like cacao. She's having caffeine. You know, she's having these phytate-rich foods, you know, meals. This is full of phytates. The whole point here is that seeds don't want to be eaten. The seed, the nut, does not want to be eaten. So the plant uses various chemicals to defend itself, to defend the seed so it has a better chance at life. You know, to defend it from insects, pests, us. We are essentially a pest. So yes, some nuts and seeds are okay. But when you're basing your diet around it, like Kristina is, she's like fully nutty Kristina, basically. So many nuts. It's like a nut-based diet. And so she's going to be getting a lot of these anti-nutrients, too much nuts and seeds. There's these various natural toxins contained within the seed to stop us, the human frugivore, from eating all of the plant's chances at new life. Does it make sense? You know, that's part of the reason why we feel ill eating too much nuts and seeds. Tell me in the comments below, don't you feel ill when you have a lot of nuts and seeds? When you just go to town on it and you eat freely, you eat like, you know, how you eat fruit freely, you eat a nut meal freely. Oh, it's a shocker. And because it interferes with your digestion, it causes gut issues. She also has a lot of oxalates from green juice, which also can deplete your iron stores. So you can see she's having a lot of nuts. She's having a lot of green juice. She's having cacao. She's having caffeine. No wonder her iron levels are going to be low. But then she's supplementing. She's having all these supplements. But that is not guaranteed to work. A lot of individuals who are actually having supplements, like iron supplements, are still iron deficient because it can just basically pass through. So here are my recent blood tests, my iron ferritin levels. You can see they are extremely healthy. And this is after 13.5 years on a low-fat, high-carbohydrate, fruit-based diet. Not with heaps of nuts and seeds and oils and stuff like that, because I know it's not healthy. And not one iron supplement that whole entire time. You know, we have to remember, we are not rats or birds. We are meant to eat large amounts of seeds, or nuts, seeds, or even grains. We're meant to eat large amounts of the fruit, the flesh of the fruit, not the seed of the fruit. You know, and that's why cacao is quite toxic, and caffeine, because they're burnt coffee beans. You know, they're seeds essentially as well. So hopefully this is making sense. And also the fact that like all this fat, I had a look on Chronometer, and it is far too high in omega-6. And see, that's also going to be an issue with, you know, conversion to DHA from omega-3. Because omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids, they compete for the same enzyme in your body. So omega-3 conversion to DHA can be compromised if you have too much omega-6. And she definitely is in her diet. It's pretty obvious. So it's actually got way more fat than like a standard pasta dish. You know, so if you want to be, I'm sorry, this is playing so much. So if you want to sludge up your bloodstream, put yourself at risk of diabetes, even as a raw foodist, if you want to inhibit your iron absorption and other nutrient absorption, then eat like this. Eat like fully raw Kristina is showing you. And if you want to go back to eating like the way you were that made you sick in the first place, that made you come to raw food, then eat like Kristina recommends. Because this is just, she knows better. She knows about excess fat in the bloodstream and the problems it causes. So I don't know why she went off track. I don't know what she's doing, but this is unhealthy, what she is recommending. And I know it sounds crazy because it's like essentially cruelty-free, but it's cruel for you. It's cruel for your health, and the most important thing is it doesn't keep people on this lifestyle. That's the main goal, right? We want you to be satisfied so you stay on this lifestyle long term. And that's why I recommend a fruit-based diet. I don't recommend a nut-based diet like Fully Raw, a nut and supplement-based diet like Fully Raw Kristina. Eat real food. Don't try and get your nutrition from supplements. It's not going to work, okay? It's not going to work for you. It's just very, very sad that she thinks that this is okay to promote. So anyway, that is my video for today. You know how I feel. You know how I feel about this. It's just, I recommend a low-fat diet because it works. It works long term. Okay? Like, you're going to get that lean, fit, healthy body that you desire. Excuse the like dirty mirror there, but you're going to get those results that you desire long term for your health, for your, the leanness. We're meant to be lean. We're meant to be lean frugivores. That's our natural state of being. But if you're going to load up on the fat, you're not going to get those results long term. You're going to have to start intermittent fasting like Kristina is, which is just calorie restriction. She's just starving herself. And then she will rebound eventually. Then she'll go on another juice fast. Maybe she'll fast, you know what I mean? And this cycle continues forever. She's been doing it on and off forever and ever and ever. And I try to give her advice in the past, but, she just doesn't seem to listen, even though I have these long-term results. Anyway, all right, that's my video for today. Don't forget to go fruit yourself, please. Don't nut yourself. Don't go seed yourself. You are not a rat. You're not a bird. You're not meant to have a lot of grains or a lot of seeds. You're meant to have a lot of fruit. All right, talk to you soon.